clover, which as you know is a nitrogen fixative in the soil, which affects the grass growth. So really, honeybees are important even for things like meat and beef and cheese and butter and all sorts of weird things. Indirectly, of course. We think of them as in living in the hives, but of course, as I say, they really live in trees. And they build combs. And it's the wasp nest, everybody. Inside that chimney, they're working as if they were inside a hollow tree. And they're building this comb from wax, little wax plates that they secrete from underneath. This is the abdomen, this is underneath the bee. And when they're warm enough, these little waxy, transparent flakes come off, and the other bees take those and chew them up and stick them together and make this incredible shape, this hexagonal tube, which you can see in those combs. And all those tubes, those cells, are interconnected and arranged back to back. Don't forget, this is happening inside a hollow tree in the dark, completely dark. So they're doing it entirely by touch. And what they do with those cells is store the nectar and the pollen that they need for that winter gap. It's because they need to eat something, as we do, because we don't hibernate, but we eat things all through the winter too. In fact, there's a very, 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 very few species on the planet that store their winter food, and we only recently joined that group when we started farming about 9,000 years ago. So we are in a very tiny group with honeybees. They store that nectar. But nectar, actually, if you suck on a honeysuckle or fuchsia flowers, and you get that sweetness in the flower, then that's the nectar. But it's really runny stuff, and if you just put it into a jar or something, or into a cell, it will just go mouldy or begin to ferment. So the bees have to process it, and they do that by chewing it and warming it, and all the moisture is evaporated off, and it's just like making jam, and it gets more and more concentrated. And when it's the right amount of sugars, the ratio of sugars, they put a lid on it, just like if you were making jam, you put the lid on, and that lid is the little white cap on the top. And smell the air, head off to where all the lads are congregating, driving their Hondas, it's round and round the square. And of course, most days, nothing happens at all, the princess doesn't arrive, all the lads go home again. But on the lucky day when it happens, then she flies at tremendous speed through this column of drones, and they all hurtle off after her. And the fastest ones, the strongest ones, the luckiest ones, get to mate with her, and she might mate with 30, 40 of them. And they die, those lads die, and then she goes home again, and she may never leave home again, but she's got all the sperm from all those drones inside special sperm sacs for the rest of her life, and she can release a tiny little sperm every time she lays an egg. It's amazing, isn't it? You can hardly make this stuff up.